The defendant is now before the court charged with murder of his wife, Anna Walsh, as well as disinterring of a body. On January 4th of 2023, Cohasset police received a call indicating that she was missing. At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to.
Delayed. The much-anticipated murder trial for Brian Walshe is now postponed as the defendant has been ordered to a mental hospital. We're getting inside the mind of this accused killer. And the Adelsons are back, this time with some brand new body camera footage of Charlie and Mama Donna. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Plus, we've got a twist in the Suzanne Simpson case as the victim's sister is now charged with harassing Brad Simpson's family. Also this hour, a toddler is stabbed and killed in a grocery store parking lot. Testimony kicks off this hour in the murder trial for defendant Bionca Ellis. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court? This is the show where we get you all started and warmed up and ready for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. And oh, it's going to be a big day, trust me. And we got a big show planned. So grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. Speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up. My friends, I was rewatching the surveillance video in the case of the supermarket knife attack that killed 3-year-old Julian Wood. This happened in Cleveland, Ohio, back on June 3rd of 2024. It was a busy shopping day at Giant Eagle grocery store. And precious Julian Wood was in the shopping cart with his mom, Margot, who was pushing him. Then in walks Bionca Ellis, holding a giant knife right out in the open. She walks by several people inside of this grocery store while she's carrying that huge knife. She sees Julian and his mom and follows them into the parking lot, and that is where the fatal attack happens. So what I want to know is, how in the world doesn't someone speak up? Not one person found this disturbing. This looked normal. Everybody just walking past her like it wasn't odd that this woman is in the store not shopping. Remember, she doesn't have a shopping cart. She's not carrying a purse, just a big old knife. Did they think that she was up to something good? Why on earth didn't somebody say something? You know, I was thinking about this last night, and I started wondering if they were afraid of offending her. My friends, I don't know what our society has become, that people are so afraid of offending someone else that they sacrifice their common sense and their safety. This lady's got a deadly weapon. Somebody speak up. Call 911 before someone gets hurt. Margot Wood survived the attack, but little Julian didn't make it. May that little angel rest in peace. And may people think of his case as a reason to say something if they see something. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
I'm at North Olmsted, Ohio, Giant Eagle. Someone just stabbed a kid and a lady in the parking lot.
Screamed in the parking lot as we were parking or walking to our car, and we saw the kid.
The case I was just talking about, testimony expected to begin today at 8:15 a.m. Eastern in the murder trial for defendant Bionca Ellis, the stabbing death of little Julian Wood. In Michigan, we've got defendant Ashley Monroe with a motions hearing at 1:30 p.m. This lady was accused in a deadly DUI crash that killed 2 people and injured 14 others. And in Florida, we've got a brand new trial starting up for you today. This one we're calling the Double Nightclub Murder Trial for defendant Demetrius O'Neill. This guy is one of 4 suspects who's accused in the 2016 mass shooting at Club Blue in Fort Myers. Jury selection is going to begin at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Right now, Let's turn to your top story. The murder trial of Brian Walshe, delayed now after the defendant was ordered to be sent to a mental hospital. So this defendant is accused of murdering and dismembering his wife, Anna, who disappeared back in January of 2023, and her body still hasn't been found.
It had become evident that Mr. Walshe was suspecting his wife of having an affair. The oldest child's iPad begins to visit websites concerned how long does it take for a dead body to smell? How long does it take for someone to be missing to be declared dead?
Now, a judge ordered Brian Walshe to undergo a mental health evaluation, so he's got to spend 20 days in a state mental hospital in order to determine whether he's competent to stand trial. Now, this comes after Walshe was just stabbed in the jail in Norfolk County last month. His trial was expected to start up in just a few weeks. No date has been set yet. His competency hearing is set for October 27th, so then that's when we'll find out if he is in fact competent. So what happened here? What happened? He was competent all this time. Suddenly he's not. Let's talk about what may be going on here. Let's bring in criminology expert, author, and professor at St. Thomas University, Dr. Debbie Goodman, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, Matt Timpanek. Good morning to you both. Okay, Dr. Debbie, let me begin with you. What do you think about this guy, please?
Good morning, Julie. For me, this case is about the 3 M's. We have motive, means, and murder. So what's the motive? I think it might be in 3 parts. First of which, he thought his wife, Anna, was cheating. He wanted retribution and retaliation. The second aspect of the motive would be child custody of the 3 children. And the third aspect would be a monetary incentive. Upon her demise, there was life insurance. So now we go to the means. He clearly had the means, and we see that within the internet searches. So cold, so callous, how to dispose of a body, how to dismember, what does formaldehyde do? And then, Julie, murder. I mean, I think it's pretty clear here, going down the list of first-degree elements. I believe he planned it, premeditated, willful, and with malice. So although the competency hearing is upon us, we know the data, 10% of cases result in those who are found to be incompetent. But in my opinion, as a criminologist, he was competent in 2023, and he's competent today.
Right, Dr. Debbie, and I think he's going to be competent again very soon. I don't know what's happening, if this stabbing event had something to do with it. I'm not sure how bad it was, how traumatic it was for him. But Matt Timpanek, something obviously changed here. I mean, or did it? We're getting close to the trial date. We got some folks in our newsroom here at Court TV that are really cynical about what may be happening with Mr. Walshe here. What's the former prosecutor in you say there, Matt?
I think it's a situation where the defense attorneys are using the stabbing as a way to kind of continue this case out. By doing so, in Florida, we have what's called the suggestive incompetency. It's like you're trying to communicate with your client and you realize the advice is not getting through. In order to stand trial, you need to be competent. You need to understand your surroundings. You need to understand that you're being charged with murder. And if the attorney, the judges, believe that that individual is not understanding, a trial can't proceed because it wouldn't survive appellate scrutiny. So I just have to think this feels like a situation where the defense attorney is using the stabbing as kind of a opportunity to continue out the case and try to better prepare for what's going to be a very difficult trial for them.
Ooh, that's a good take, Matt Timpanek. I like that take. That's a good one. You know, and what can the court say, right? We know this stabbing event happened, you know, right? He was in the jail. We know, we have all sorts of other corroborating evidence that this did occur. He was victimized in that event. So the judge is in a position where I think they've got to continue and make sure nothing comes back. I want to play a clip for you both of a January 2nd hearing, and this is where we hear some of the evidence coming into his case. And Dr. Debbie, I'll come to you on the other side.
There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. Hacksaw, best tool to dismember. Can you be charged with murder without a body? Can you identify a body with broken teeth? On January 2nd, following those, the defendant was seen on surveillance at the Home Depot in Rockland. Items included cleaning products, mops, brushes, tape, a Tyvek suit with boot covers, buckets, goggles, baking soda, a hatchet.
Ooh, okay, when we see somebody's search history, we can kind of get into their mind a little bit. Dr. Debbie, get into the mind of this accused man. What do you think?
Wow, Julie, I think this individual, again, was very callous, very cold, but very certain about what he intended here. And who does this? Who searches how to dispose of a body? You know, we've talked on several occasions regarding other cases, you know, exorcide, when the husband kills the wife, and we've called it disposal theory, whereby individuals think that because somebody has become an impediment in their lives or an inconvenience or somebody they want to discard like trash, they'll kill them. So I think these searches are very, very important and significant in pointing to this individual's, as we always say, the mens rea, the criminal state of mind, what was going on in 2023. And now, of course, the action of where is Anna? She's disappeared. She's murdered. And who did it? I believe Brian Walshe.
Dr. Debbie, thank you for all of that. The last question you posed, where is Anna, right? We still don't know, because her remains haven't been recovered. But the theory is she was killed and dismembered by him. That is the theory of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Matt Timpanik, talk to us about a case where you don't have a body.
When you don't have a body, it is automatically a circumstantial case. So up until this point, all the evidence has pointed to Brian Walshe being the individual who committed this crime. But since you don't have a body, you can't prove how that individual died. You can't get DNA off of it, potentially matching it to a murder weapon. So what you need to do is eliminate every other possibility that she kind of walked away, she died accidentally, she's in a different country. You need to prove that she's dead and that the only person that it caused it was Brian Walshe, and that it was murder. So in these types of situations, they are much more difficult. But with that search history, given the defendant's actions, a jury should be able to put it together if they go piece by piece in a circumstantial manner.
Yes, great explainer you just gave us there, Matt. Thank you. And for anybody wondering, competency can change day to day. Very low threshold. Matt and Dr. Debbie know this. Very, very low. Can you understand the charges against you? Can you assist in your defense? And so someone can be incompetent today and then competent tomorrow. So we'll monitor things with Mr. Walshe. October 27th is the next court date. Dr. Debbie Goodman, attorney Matt Timpanik, thank you so much for the great conversation. We'll see you both soon. Coming up next here on Opening Statements, we got Mama Donna and her son Charlie. These two shown in a whole new light as brand new body camera footage is surfacing of the infamous Adelsons.
It is our sincere hope and prayer that Brad will find the compassion and courage to end his family's suffering by cooperating with the authorities to help us find his wife.
Texas mom Suzanne Simpson still missing this morning. This is her sister. Her sister is now facing charges for harassment. We'll explain.
My two best friends were just murdered.
Join me for a Court TV true crime series where we take you from the crime scene to the courtroom.
Donna Adelson hates every piece of grass that Dave Marcel ever walked on.
It's something that'll haunt all of us forever.
It always seemed like he was covering or deceiving.
This was a whole different level.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rowlands. New episodes Saturday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Court TV.
So Charlie and Donna Adelson are back as trending true crime topics this morning as newly released body camera footage shows the two during and after Mama Donna's trial, including some footage of Charlie berating a corrections officer over hurting his toe with the cell door. Take a look.
Sorry. Someone standing here barefoot, you slam the door into their toe.
Can you 56 Foxtrot too?
Really stupid. Congratulations. Open a hatch. When someone's standing here barefoot, you open a door into their toe?
Excuse me?
That was really stupid. Bring your lieutenant over. I'll tell him how stupid you are.
Moments later, Charlie addresses the officer's lieutenant about his big toe being bashed.
I don't think it's broken. I just think it's fine. I just like my medicine and be off the floor. But next time they should use the hatch in the door they use every single time. It's common sense. If someone's standing here barefoot in front of the door, you don't issue his shoes. I'm standing barefoot. You stand there barefoot, and I slam the door.
Okay, so come with me. We're gonna take it out. He's still gets looked at it now.
They got an X-ray there? Or?
No.
What are they gonna do with their toe?
We're gonna talk about that. All right.
So Charlie was being held at the Leon County Jail in order to testify during his mother's trial. We know that he was never called to the stand, but he was ready to go, as we can see. So this morning, we're wondering, what do you think about Charlie chewing out that officer? Let's bring in our power panel, ask them what they think. I have with me criminal law and civil rights attorney Melba Pearson, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt, and the chief of police at Talladega College, retired homicide detective Chris Anderson. Good morning to you all. Melba, start us off, please. What do you think about Charlie?
Well, good morning, Julie and my fellow guests. That was a sight of an entitled, privileged brat that happens to be a defendant and is now serving time for a homicide that he played a very strong hand in. This is not unexpected for me because he still thinks that he's at the Ritz. He still thinks he's living his best life out of custody. But the reality is he's going to have to adapt. He's not going to get special treatment. He is not special. His wealth means nothing there. He needs to sit down, learn some respect, and learn some humility. And, you know, he's going to learn that lesson one way or the other. So I hope he takes the easier way rather than the hard way.
Yes, Melba, preach. Jennifer, to you next, please. What do you think?
I agree with Melba. I mean, this is Charlie. This is what the real Charlie, not the one that we saw on the stand, you know, where he's looking like, you know, he's innocent and poor me. This is the real person who is, you know, he does have a medical background. He's injured allegedly, and he's asking, you know, like, get the supervisor, get the manager. He knows the chain of command. He's not going to deal with, you know, just the lowly office. He's looking to, you know, raise the stakes. He's injured. I don't know where that's going to get him, except a trip to the infirmary where there is no X-ray. But, you know, he is expecting the best treatment because that's what he's used to.
Exactly, Jen. He wanted to talk to the most powerful person in charge there. Get the officer out of my way. I want your boss. Chief Anderson, you know something about that. You're the top cop. You know what this is like, where people, you don't want to jump the rank and all that, go straight to you with all their complaints. Tell us what you think, please, Chief.
You know, I agree with my co-panelists. This just reeks of entitlement. But one of the greatest assets and best tools that law enforcement have today are the body cams, so that people like us that are on the outside now, you know, of course, I worked in law enforcement for 30 years, but, you know, seeing the entitlement and seeing how prisoners act one way while they're in front of the cameras, in front of the judges, but then you see their true selves come out when they're behind bars. And this is just a small representation of what these officers deal with every day.
Well said, Chief. Well said. You know, I think it's something we don't always think about. What corrections officers go through, my gosh, they have so much patience and deal with so much unnecessary nonsense. A really, really difficult job, and one that we need. We need people to be doing. So thank you to all those OCOs that are retired watching this show. I know there are some. I hear from some of you on social media. Thank you for your service in that regard. Let's look at Mama Donna together now, shall we? So we got some video of her. So we've got some before and after her murder conviction. Let's take a look.
Hey, go home. I think I've completed my day today. I'm with you. I'm gonna go too. You can both go.
Only if you take me with you.
Yeah. You got a big day.
Yeah, you know. Judge me not like it.
Yeah, you don't know like
They probably want to be here day 2, probably.
Okay, so that was Donna before the verdict, where she was found guilty of murdering Dan Markel, her former son-in-law. Let's look at her then after the verdict, back behind bars. Oh, what a difference a verdict makes, huh? Let's get our power panel to weigh in on this. Mama Donna pre and post verdict. Chief Chris Anderson would love for you to start us off with your thoughts, please.
Sure. I wish that video had played just a little bit longer when she starts going off on the jailers there. That was, I've worked in law enforcement for a long period of time, but I started off in the jail. And her actions are just indicative of the entire family. They reek of this air of manipulation and everything that was said that happened in the case. I believe it now, after seeing some of these videos. The proof is in the pudding. You can see it here. You can hear how she speaks to some of the jailers. She goes in one way, and after that verdict is read, it is almost woe is me, and you're not doing this right. And so it's just a bad situation. I think, I send my prayers out to the victims and the families that have been affected by her manipulation. I see that justice was served.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say, Chief. Yes, we're all thinking of the Markels. Thank you for saying that they've been through way too much with this. This should have never happened. Jennifer Brandt, let me go to you next for your thoughts on Mama Donna.
Well, I think it's really interesting. We saw it at the end of the trial when the verdict was read, and now we're seeing it even more so about her demeanor and how upset she is and how sorry she feels for herself, that she's going to be now. She's guilty. She's going to be in prison for, forever. And I think we don't see this too often. We see defendants, we see verdicts read. We see defendants accept their verdict. We don't see this kind of human reaction. And as bad as she is, I think we all can understand her feeling. Like any of us would feel this way. And so it's sort of interesting to see it play out in real life. And see how upset she really is by this. So it is, in some ways you can't help but feel for her, even though all the things that she's did and, what she caused are awful. But, she's really feeling this verdict at this point.
For sure. It's great we have that video. Like you said, Jen, it's great we can see this, because we're so interested in this case. But a lot of defendants act up, as you all know, when they don't get their way. And she thought she was going home, didn't she, Melba Pearson? She thought in that first video she was headed home. What do you think, Melba?
Well, again, it speaks to that entitlement and privilege, thinking you can just commit a homicide and get away with it, right? So there's that aspect, and clearly we see that in the behaviors of both her and Charlie and the way that they treated other people and all of that. But where's Wendy? That's what I want to know. Where's Wendy? When is she going to be joining the rest of the crew in prison? That's what I want to know.
I'm with you, Melba. I'm with you. And I know many in our Courtney family are with you, too, and talking about it every day on social media. We haven't forgotten. I'm still in the camp. I know you are, too, Melba, of that charges are coming. Charges at some point. We'll have that discussion another day. We're out of time. But great talk on these videos with our power panel. Stand by, friends. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements.
211, I need a car to go help the kid. These are the first couple aisles.
Where's your cuffs? You got custody? Who's got cuffs?
Hey, slow down. enough. We're good.
All right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, you want me to go to the female or giant eagle?
Go to the female.
Oh, this case is just awful. Testimony kicks off this hour in Cleveland, Ohio, for the trial for this woman, defendant Bionca Ellis. But first, we're spotlighting Suzanne Simpson and the twist in the case involving her husband and now some charges brought against her sister. We'll explain.
She called me up and told me the things that Brad had done to her physically.
Brad Simpson buys 2 bags of Quikrete cement, a construction bucket with a lid, heavy-duty trash bags, a 30-ounce bottle of Clorox disinfectant, and insect repellent.
This helps us come to terms with the reality that Suzanne is no longer with us.
In the spotlight this morning, 2 families at odds as the sister of missing Texas mom Suzanne Simpson is accused of harassing the family of the alleged killer, and that would be Suzanne's husband. He is the accused in this. So let's back up. A year ago yesterday is when Suzanne Simpson vanished after having an argument with her husband, Brad. She hasn't been seen since. And Brad was arrested a few days later and has been indicted and accused of Suzanne's murder. Now Suzanne's sister, Teresa, is facing harassment charges for allegedly contacting Brad's family members. Here's what she told News Nation when Suzanne first disappeared.
From my understanding, you know, they had this fight at the Argyle Club. They came home, the neighbors witnessed it, and I just assumed that, you know, they had figured the whole thing out that night, and so I didn't fully understand the severity of the situation. But once I understood that, you know, the children hadn't spoken to her in 16 hours, that's when I just knew, okay, she's already in heaven. That's just all there is to it.
Again, her with Ashley Banfield on her show Banfield on News Nation. So recently, one of Brad Simpson's relatives came forward to police and said that these messages that are being left on their cell phones are accusing members of Brad's family, and they include warnings as well. Things such as, quote, "You don't know who you're messing with," and "You will not get away with this." Things like that. Police say that she would call family members at random times, you know, leaving messages usually after midnight and repetitive messages. Now, we know Suzanne Simpson's sister is obviously grieving the loss of Suzanne, right? This woman is upset, and understandably so. But we know that harassment, if that's what she's in fact doing here, that's what's being alleged, that's wrong and can't be tolerated. So how should this be dealt with? Let's talk about it. Let's bring in family law attorney Jennifer Brandt and the chief of police at Talladega College, retired homicide detective as well, Chris Anderson. Jennifer, let me start with you, please. Family situations can be tough, as you know. How do you think this one can potentially be resolved?
Well, it's a shame because you would think that, you know, she's obviously very, very upset with the loss of her sister, and she blames, obviously, the husband, although there's no evidence that his family had anything to do with this. So, you know, reaching out, showing her anger, it's understandable, and I'm sure the family members tolerated it for a period of time until it got to the point where it was, you know, allegedly truly harassment, calling in the middle of the night, making threats. There was some kind of social media campaign. I mean, it's not helping anybody to go this route. So hopefully she can get some counseling. She can get some help to deal with her emotions and you know, stay away from this family. I mean, I hope it doesn't escalate from here. She already has charges against her, and hopefully they'll be able to work this out, that she'll just stay away from the family and let the trial play out. Let justice take its course.
Definitely, Jennifer. Some legal documents tell us that she ran what's being called a vigorous media campaign targeting the family. And that really stood out to us because we remember that it was Brad Simpson's own brother who was one of the people who spoke on this case early when Suzanne had gone missing and was pleading, with his brother, to help assist in the search. Let's go back to that moment. And Chief, I'll come to you on the other side.
It is our sincere hope and prayer that Brad will find the compassion and courage to end his family's suffering by cooperating with the authorities to help us find his wife.
Again, that is Brad Simpson's brother, Bart, who gave that statement to the media. So, Chief, of course, this was very stunning, especially after seeing that. One would think that behind closed doors, these families may be getting along, but that doesn't seem to be the case. How do you think this can be resolved now that it's in the system, now that there is a court case?
Yeah, so, harassment in criminal cases has become more commonplace than anything in the criminal justice system. And unfortunately, it's become easier to do with the expansion of technology. So, and I get it, you are hurting, so you want the other side to hurt just as much as you do. But harassment has no place in criminal investigations or court cases, because what it actually does is it gives more ammunition for the defense to fight in these cases. And you don't know what kind of damage that you're doing to your loved one's case when you start harassing the other side. So I think that they're going about it the right way. Criminal charges should be levied against the person that's responsible, and let it proceed through the court cases. And that may deter anyone else from doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, Chief, right. So I want to play a clip for you both from Suzanne Simpson's mom talking about her husband, Brad, now defendant Brad. Let's take a listen.
She called me up and told me the things that Brad had done to her physically. Well, I came up with an alternative plan for her in the hope that she'd move in with me. I never got to tell her the plan.
Do you think that Brad's responsible for her disappearance?
Angela, thank you.
I agree with that. I would like to visit with him and ask him why. What happened?
Oh, my. I hear that and I think about how October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And when Mom said that in her mind she had this safety plan, but never got the chance to tell Suzanne, it's really heartbreaking. Jennifer, would you speak to that, please? When there's difficulty going on in a marriage, and it seems that this was an abusive relationship by what we've seen in accounts and things that police have put forward into the public record, how dangerous it can be for someone to remain in that situation.
Yeah, Julie, we know that it is so difficult because people that are in this situation, they always think, well, it's not going to happen again. This happened one time, twice, 3 times, but this person, loves me. We have children together. It's hard for people to get out. And that's where, family members, friends, a support network really needs to come in and try to convince that person, you need help. You need outside help. You need to talk to somebody. You need to go to the authorities if necessary. You can't let this go on and on and on. But when you're in it and you're going through it and you're part of a family and the abuser, apologizes, I'm sorry, you don't want to get them in trouble. I mean, there's so much going on here, and that's why these situations are so incredibly difficult and oftentimes, unfortunately result in a situation like this, where, there's a death or, serious injuries. So it's really important to have family members, whomever, if you know somebody that's in this situation, really implore upon them to get out of it, to get help, and do whatever you can to try to convince them to get away from their abuser.
Yes, exactly, Jennifer. I want to echo something that you said with Chief Anderson here about getting help, because there are a lot of things we can do in life on our own. And from working, volunteering in the DV prevention movement for years, I've learned a lot about what's done and what organizations can do to keep people safe. And it seems to me, Chief, and tell me if you agree, that getting out of an abusive relationship is something you shouldn't do alone. You should get help from other people to make sure that you can be safely exiting and safely moving forward with your life. Chief.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Getting out as soon as possible is the best plan of action, and leaning on your network is the best thing to do. Those have been the most successful cases that I have seen.
For sure, and plenty of organizations, no matter where you live in America, I promise you there's one in your community, and they specialize in this. So give them a call. Great discussion with you both. Chief Chris Anderson, Attorney Jennifer Brandt, thank you both so much. We'll hit a break. When we come back, we're talking about a toddler that was stabbed to death in a busy grocery store parking lot. This happened in Cleveland. The trial testimony kicks off this morning. We'll talk about it next.
This week,
we're spotlighting the biggest cases that are trending in true crime. Plus, we're being a voice for victims as October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
A wife accused of murdering her prominent attorney husband, and the defense involves blaming her own sons?
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. New episode Saturday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Court TV.
Welcome back. Now for what's tipping the scales of justice in the case of a toddler stabbed to death in Cleveland, Ohio. Testimony is going to kick off this morning. The defendant is accused of going into a busy grocery store, following a little boy and his mom out into the parking lot and stabbing that child to death. How did we get here? And how could the surveillance video tip the scales?
I'm at North Olmsted, Ohio, Giant Eagle. Someone just stabbed a kid and a lady in the parking lot.
Chaos breaks out in the parking lot of a Giant Eagle grocery store just outside of Cleveland, Ohio on June 3rd, 2024.
There's a child. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at North Olmsted Giant Eagle.
Margot Wood was shopping with her 3-year-old son, Julian, when they were attacked by a knife-wielding stranger.
The young child suffered 2 stab wounds, one to the face and one to the back, and then she suffered one to her shoulder area.
Julian died of his injuries, but his mother, Margot, survived.
He was hard to go help the kid. He's in the first couple aisles.
Where's your cuffs? Get custody? Who's got cuffs?
33-year-old Bionca Ellis was arrested on the edge of the parking lot where the stabbings happened. A long blade knife was found on the ground near where she was cuffed.
Did she say anything?
No, I didn't hear anything. I had my windows down. I didn't hear anything. All I heard was just screaming, and the lady grabbed her child up out the cart, and that's when it fell over, and they collapsed over here, and the lady just continued to walk off.
Police say Bionca Ellis stole a knife from a nearby thrift store. Surveillance video shows Ellis walking into the grocery store with the knife in plain view.
It was very, very upsetting that someone would do that to a child and their mother.
As Margot Wood swerved her grocery cart to avoid running into Bionca Ellis, Ellis turned around to follow Margot and Julian out of the store, the whole time swinging the knife by her side.
As a mother, I cannot even begin to fathom the sense of loss that this family is going through.
Ellis is facing multiple charges, including murder, attempted murder, and felonious assault.
Have you received and read your indictment?
I don't know.
You don't know if you've received it?
She was found competent to stand trial after her defense team requested a mental health evaluation. This after her behavior in the courtroom raised questions about her ability to assist in her own defense. For the family of Julian Wood, they'll never get over the loss of their child.
She took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son.
Oh, how heartbreaking. Our hearts go out to the family of little Julian Wood, 3 years old. Let's talk about what's going to tip the scales of justice for the jury when they are brought into the courtroom any minute now to start hearing the case evidence. Let's bring in our legal eagles, Melba Pearson and Jennifer Brandt. Melba, let me begin with you here, please. What are the things you think are going to be the most impactful for the jury?
Well, first off, to me, it is quite clear she is not right. My understanding is that she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. I'm not seeing someone who's even competent to stand trial because her behavior, from what we're seeing in the footage, even from how she didn't understand the charges that were being read against her, how is she even going to be able to meaningfully contribute to her defense, which is one of the criteria in determining whether or not somebody's competent. But I think that this surveillance footage from the store, again, clearly shows this is someone not in their right mind. Just her walking, the swinging the knife, the casualness of which she was just walking around with a weapon, and the way she just randomly seemed to turn and follow the two victims. It just clearly, to me, screams of mental health. And, you know, I think realistically here, there is a strong possibility of a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity. And at that point, hopefully she will get the care she needs because she needs psychiatric assistance. This is not someone who's evil. This is someone who clearly has had a mental break and needs to be treated as such. Again, this is not excusing the actions or anything like that. But when we're dealing with not guilty by reason of insanity, the person did not understand or appreciate what they did in the moment was wrong. They did not understand right from wrong. And that's a very, very different standard than someone who is just plainly evil.
Right. I agree with you, Melba. Excellent points you just made. Jennifer, let me go to you next, please. Some of the things that stick out to you in terms of the facts that we know. Obviously, we're going to learn more in a few minutes here when this really kicks off with the testimony. But tell us what you're thinking about this morning and what you think the jury is going to be thinking about.
Well, I don't think there's any question that she did this, you know, and I think we're getting down to, you know, why and how and if she was competent at the time, if she really understood her actions. But, I mean, you do see her, she went to the Goodwill store, she picked up a knife. She then, you know, went into the grocery store and followed these people out of the grocery store. I mean, made that turn and really walked right with the victim's mother and the victim here. I mean, so we see her, you know, sort of acting with intention. And, you know, I think the main thing here in this case is what you spoke about earlier is really what you see all these people in the grocery store. You see someone walking around swinging a knife. Was there not a security guard at this grocery store? Did anyone say anything? Report this. You know, how could people just go about their business and see something like this going on and no one says anything until this tragedy happens? I mean, it seems incredible, but, you know, most people these days are afraid to speak up. You know, you mind your own business. You really don't say anything. You don't want to cause trouble. And I think it's a problem because a lot of these cases could possibly be prevented if people just spoke up. Even at the Goodwill store, when she got the knife, I mean, it was stolen, but were there not people there that saw what was going on? See this woman walking around swinging a knife? I mean, it's just tragic that no one was able to prevent this.
It really is. Jennifer, thank you so much for your agreement on that. Yeah, that's really what struck me the most is how tragic that not one person in that busy store said, oh, this isn't normal. This isn't normal, what we're seeing here. Call police. Not saying you have to accost the person yourself. Call 911. It's what it's there for. My gosh, it's just dreadful. Bionca Ellis, I'm being told, just walked in the courtroom. So we'll conclude opening statements. A big thank you to our legal analyst guests, Melba Pearson and Jennifer Brandt, for being on today. And there she is walking into the courtroom. Wow, looking great, looking like a different person. We've seen so many videos of her not looking well. And there she is, got the suit jacket on, ready to go.